Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Riverside. May I have roll call, please?
Commissioner Alvarado?
Yes.
Commissioner Asemi?
Here.
Commissioner Burke? Commissioner Dunn? Commissioner Arp?
Here.
Commissioner Frommer?
Here.
Commissioner Gilmetti? Commissioner Gardino? Commissioner Inman?
Here.
Commissioner Waring? And Chair Tavaloni.
Here. May I have the approval of the minutes of October 24th?
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. So approved. Executive Director report.
Okay, Mr. Chair. Couple things. First of all, I need to make an announcement. No food or beverages are allowed in the auditorium. So if you have them, please, there's trash cans on both sides. Only water is allowed at the dais up here and where Commission and Caltrans staff are. So please make sure you leave your food and beverages outside.
And if you have cookies or cake or muffins, pass them to me. I'll make sure they're disposed of properly.
Okay, Mr. Chair, on my report, I have a few items to report on. First item is the Commission's 2012 annual report. I'm pleased to report that on December 4th, the CTC posted its annual report, which is due to the legislature on December 15th, so we were a couple of weeks early. We will be distributing the hard copies of the report once we receive them from the printing facilities, but I do want to take a moment to thank all of the Commission staff. This report was compiled in addition to their everyday activities getting prepared for the December meeting, so thank you very much, staff. Mr. Chair, the next item is the TCI program review. As we collectively successfully delivered an allocated CMIA program in June of 2012, we are now very closely focusing on the TCIF program. This program will have to be allocated by June 2013, and the project's under construction by December of 2013. Later in the agenda, you will hear from the representatives from the various corridors, and they will be sharing progress of their projects. The last item is the needs assessment. As you all are aware, that Commission staff has been working very closely with the stakeholders to address the statewide effort on the project funding shortfall that was identified in the 2011 needs assessment. The work is ongoing. Staff is continuing to work and identify the most critical transportation funding needs, as well as some of the innovations and other solutions for new revenue. We do have a meeting scheduled for Monday, December 10th, with the full work group to discuss the information that the team members have been receiving to date. Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Item number 4, I'm sorry. Commissioners, any commissioner? Yes, Commissioner Inman.
Mr. Chair, I just want to, let's see if I'm on. I just want to give a shout out to our Hot Lane project, our pilot project.
Yellow.
Yeah, I'm on yellow.
Okay.
Maybe I'm just not working.
Oh, here, wait, this one.
I know.
No, this one.
It's, yeah.
No, there you go. This one. That one over there. This one.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
You it. You it.
Right string, long yellow.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. I'm left-handed. They should have put the dial on the other side, but anyway. I just want to give a shout out to our Hot Lane project, our pilot project in Los Angeles on the I-110, or no, 110, excuse me. It opened at 10:02 p.m. on November 11th. We're ahead of projections. 60% of the ridership have been carpool, high occupancy, so 40% have been utilized in our pilot. The average speed is 63 miles per hour. We've been at 45 miles per hour 100% of the time, they told me, except they did tell me we had one SIG alert. And what's exciting about that to me is that we've refunded the tolls that were charged for that. So we're underway. We're well underway. We'll have the actual numbers on a quarterly basis, but if you all are in Los Angeles, please hop on and give it a try.
Thank you. Any other reports? Yes.
Mr. Chair, I had a conversation with Norma Ortega and some of the, actually all 8 of the Central Valley COG directors that I'd like to hold for at the end of this session regarding SR 99 bond savings. It was a very fruitful discussion that I'd like to update the commission on.
Thank you. Any other? Thank you. We'll move on to commissioners' meetings for compensation. Have any questions on those? Everything is in order?
A motion?
We have a motion?
Move it.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chair, the next item, which is not on the agenda, is Welcome to Riverside. I'd like to have Ann Mayer, Executive Director for RCTC.
Good morning, Commissioners. I hope you've been enjoying your stay in Riverside. It's been a fun couple of days. We've had a really exciting year here in Riverside County, and depending on which direction you came in from, you could see all of the construction that we have underway here in Riverside County. We have been rolling from one project to the next. We had a ribbon cutting to celebrate the opening of the I-215 South project, which was a CMIA project. We had a ribbon cutting in conjunction with a groundbreaking for the 215 Central project, which was the project that we received over $50 million in CMIA savings from you all. So it's kind of fun to go from one project to another. There's a lot of success out there. We're hearing a lot of input from folks. They're not even frustrated with the level of construction that we have going on. We've got the 215 under construction, the 91 under construction, another CMIA project, the 215 Bi-County project, which is a joint project between RCTC and Sandbag, was just awarded last week. So we've got a lot of exciting things going on here in Riverside County. We project we'll have over $2 billion in transportation infrastructure projects under construction within the next year. 2 projects that I'd like to highlight for you. The first one is the Paris Valley Line project. Paris Valley Line is a 24-mile extension of Metrolink. It's the first major expansion of Metrolink since its inception. The 24-mile extension will go from downtown Riverside out to the city of Paris. Bids open in 2 weeks. That is a small start project, a federal small start project, so we're receiving $75 million from FTA, and I think there's also an agenda item on here today for another $50+ million allocation of RIP funds. So we're very excited about a major expansion of a transit project. And then the other small project that we have, the 91 Corridor Improvement Project. It's a $1.3 billion design, best value design build project. We're currently in the procurement process with our 4 pre-qualified teams. We will be receiving their proposals for this project in January. Will take us a couple of months to complete the selection process, and we're expecting that we'll award the 91 contracts probably in April or May. We had received a $445 million federal TIFIA loan for that project, so we're in the process of working with Federal Highway Administration. Yes, thank you, Vince Mamano, as always. $445 million isn't a little bit of money. So we're working with USDOT and FHWA to complete the closing on that financing. So a lot of really exciting things happening here in Riverside. I'd like to thank you for all of your support for the projects here in this region. We have a lot of activity going on. At your seat, you have a copy of our annual report that goes in the newspaper that highlights all of the exciting programs and projects that we have. So again, thank you very much for your assistance in getting our work done here. And again, enjoy your stay in Riverside. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Can I say one more thing, sir?
Yeah, you can say 2 more.
I was a little late, but I was going to put some pictures up to demonstrate. We don't just work hard here in Riverside. We sometimes have fun. There was a softball game this summer, and maybe I'll see if I can get some pictures, where Joe's Thugs, led by Mr. Tavaloni, played Ray's Wild Things, led by Ray Wolf from Sandbag. We had a charity softball game here for WTS. We not only raised scholarship money, but we also raised money for a charity organization for children. It was a really fun event. We had CEOs, Mark Baza was there from Imperial, Will Kempton played, and Will's not competitive at all, so that worked out great. Stephanie Wiggins was there from LA Metro, Darren Kettle was there from Ventura, Malcolm played as well. So we had a really fun evening. It was a lot of fun. Bimla played, and I will admit that the chairman's team won. And somehow he had a home run and scored 2 runs with that home run. So Joe's Thugs won, and there'll be a repeat next summer, so we'll make sure you all get an invitation. Thank you.
Thank you, and I may just add a little so that the manager-coach of the other group of wonderful players, I just want them to know that we have not stopped from the day that the game was over, and we are shortly going to begin to do some of our practicing, and I have a feel that we have some instructors that will be helping our team. So just a heads up, Dr. Ray, please get your team moving and get them excited so that they will, and teach them a little something. They're a great team, but I'm just giving you, forewarning you as to what I intend to do. If you intend to do something, then I would like to know that also. So thank you. Well, it was fun. Okay, we'll move on to, the secretary is not here today, so we'll move on to the to Malcolm. That has changed quite a bit in the last 24 hours. So would you move on, please?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Norma Ortega, Deputy Director for Finance for the Department. Malcolm sends his regrets. He is in D.C. attending a meeting of the Intelligent Transportation Society of America, or ITS. He was recently asked to join ITS as a member of the board, so I think that will be very good for California. ITS fosters partnerships that increase the safety and efficiency of surface transportation through the application of advanced technologies. So we're hoping that that turns into a real positive for the state. I'm going to start off with a few personnel announcements. Some of you may have heard that Kome Ajisi has been named as the permanent Deputy Director for Planning and Modal Programs, and he has a long list of things he's going to be taking care of, including some for Commissioner Inman. Kome has been with the department for a number of years, more recently as the P3 program manager, but he's also had a lot of experience in the planning functions in the districts as well as in headquarters. Filling in behind him as the acting P3 program manager is Nizar Melahani, and he's currently working in the programs. He has a lot of the technical knowledge, and Malcolm will move quickly to try and fill that position. We are also pleased to announce the appointment of William or Bill Lewis, as we know him, to the Assistant Director of Audits and Investigations. Bill has been with the department for over 21 years. He has experience working with the Bureau of State Audits in the past. He graduated from the University of Utah with a Bachelor of Science in Accounting, and he is a certified public accountant. We are saddened to say that Jane Ravel, our Division Chief for Environmental Analysis, is going to be retiring at the end of December. And Jay has 33 years of experience with the department, the last 7 as the Division Chief for Environmental Analysis. And he's taking with him a lot of knowledge, and he was responsible for implementation of the NEPA delegation that we received. So we wish him well on his retirement. I was going to comment on Everyday Counts summit that FHWA held last week in Sacramento, but I'm going to let Vince give us a little more update on that, because he says that Malcolm always steals his thunder since Malcolm goes first. So I'm going to let you speak to that, Vince. We did have an issue that came in front of the commission, and there's an action item that Denix is going to be speaking to a little later, and it was the federal earmarks. And I am pleased to say that California has submitted all of our requests for obligations to FHWA. FHWA will be processing those next, and we did not lose any federal funds, and we're in a good position to hopefully receive any redistribution from other states, and maybe Vince can update us on what that process is going to be next, because I know there's a lot of projects that could use additional OA. Finally, I wanted to report that the department attended a Senate hearing of the Transportation Housing Committee regarding our peer review process last week. And at that hearing, we did commit to adopting processes that will increase public access to information that is under review, and also to provide the background qualifications and financial interest of the peer review panel members. Malcolm would like to thank Executive Director Bimla Reinhardt for her testimony, support, and partnership at that hearing. So thank you very much, Bimla. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions? I'm going to back up just a little bit. There's a gentleman here that wanted to speak, I believe, if the secretary was here, and I was just wondering if he wanted to speak now that the secretary is not here. If you do, come forward. If not, okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to item, oh my,
Riverside, you'll get the funding.
Listen, excuse me, sir. Would you give me time to announce who I've got at the podium, please? That is Mr. Vince Mamano.
That's how that's pronounced, actually. I don't know why you're heckling me here, because I'm about to give you some very good information. Federal funds are actually eligible for use in softball practices. And I must admit, I've seen some of the video. I've been coaching baseball for about 25 years, and I think it's important that you use these federal funds. And I'm Federal Highway, and I'm here to help, and I'm going to help you whether you like it or not, because I've seen it, and you need it. Ray, get up here quick. Ray, get up here quick. Listen, I'll tear you up. Oh, okay, that might be a good one.
I'm sorry, if there's a way that I can get in on that money, I certainly appreciate it.
I've seen it. You need it.
I need a lot of help, yes. And with your experience in coaching, I'd like to have you come on to our
Do you have to have NEPA?
Yeah, there's no, that one's NEPA's way. That's under the programmatic. It's part of the everyday counts that we're doing. Congratulations yesterday, Commissioner Tadoni, on your honor yesterday. I thought that was a great event. Last couple weeks ago, we had an Everyday Counts Summit here in California. There's 8 summits around the country, and all the other summits are multiple states. We spoke with our administrator about California and the magnitude of California, and asked that we have one so that we were able to invite a lot more people. So we had nearly 200 people at that event. I want to thank the commission staff. Several of the commission staff had shown up for the event. We appreciate that. Victor Mendez, Greg Nadeau, Butch Weidlich, Brian Kelly, Brian Annis, and like I said, several of the CTC staff were there, so we appreciate that. The Everyday Counts is an initiative that Federal Highway is doing. We're on our second round of Everyday Counts. Last year there was, I think, 16, or 2 years ago there were 16 initiatives that we were working to try and get out. And this last Everyday Counts Summit was on shortening project delivery. We're breaking phase 2 up into 2 things. So shortening project delivery was a hands-on summit. We brought people in to talk about programmatic agreements, locally administered projects, a bunch of different things like that. The second phase of that is going to be in the spring, and they're going to be virtual summits. So they're going to be probably through the web, and they're going to be looking at some of the other 21st century solutions, and that'll get into geospatial data collaboration, high friction surfaces, intersection and interchange geometric. So we're trying to get technology out there. One of the big pushes with Everyday Counts is innovation. Coco Briseño did a great job speaking at that event, talking about the research that California does here in the state, and ways of trying to bring in other people in the transportation industry here in California to help disseminate that information, to help get some input on what types of things that we need to look at. And Bob Pipolo is another great, did a fantastic job at that event. I just wanted to make sure I said thank you to him, and Katie Benoit from Malcolm's staff was a critical piece in putting that thing together. So thank you all and everybody here. There were several people here in the audience today that attended that. So thank you for your attendance there. Earmark redistribution, that will probably happen in the spring. We got to see how many states were unable to spend all their money on their earmarks, and I thank you, Caltrans, for getting that the way you have it. We're in good shape. I saw the last submission yesterday. I saw a summary of that yesterday, and both numbers are equal, so that's a good thing. Unobligated and what we're going to obligate it on, same number. So I appreciate that. Another big thing that's just recently been approved is the DBE goals here for California. So Federal Highway Administration just sent a letter over to Caltrans that we've approved their DBE goal methodology. It's going to be a 12.5% goal. It was 13.5. It's now 12.5. But we're going to do the goal targets. Previously, it was a 6.5 and a 6.5, or 6.75 and a 6.75 for race conscious and race neutral. Race conscious is the goals that we put on contracts. Race neutral is all the other things we do to try and get the DBE community into our transportation funding. So what we're going to be anticipating is a lot higher goals on contracts, because we're shooting for 9.5%, a minimum of 9.5% from race conscious, and again, those are tied to the goals. So we're looking at that. We're looking at a possible waiver on which groups will be considered as part of that goal. But today, all DBE groups are part of that goal. So when a contract goes out, it's got a 5, 10, 12% goal on a contract. All DBE groups, all subs that are part of that DBE groups are going to be count towards that goal. So that's a big, big step here in California. And I think if I can turn and ask everybody in the audience that are local that administer contracts, if you're an agency that has anything to do with federal funds, we need to make sure that the DBE goals are met. We're challenging ourselves with our DBE goals, and we're doing the other things. I know Riverside had a great event just last week, was it right? Just last week was a big outreach for all of their programs. It wasn't just the federal aid program, it was all of their programs that they have, and it's trying to get contractors in touch with DBEs, and that's very important piece, and I hope you guys keep hearing that from me as we go forward. So that's one of the things we want to make sure. And lastly, I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and hope everybody has a safe and happy holiday season.
Well,
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question?
No question. Is it a good question?
Okay.
Oh, yes. What will the monitoring be on the DBE as it relates to the carrying out by, for instance, state agencies of those federal programs?
So, I'm sorry, what will the monitoring?
Will there be monitoring, and if so, how will that work?
Well, the monitoring comes from Caltrans and the locals at the project level. So they'll put in their goals, the contractors or the locals will put in their goal on a contract at the beginning. Caltrans will review it, determine whether or not, because we've had a few goals that come in at 1%, and we're like, wait a minute.
Well, will there be federal monitoring of those goals?
Yes.
And the actual accomplishment of the goals?
Yes, we do that constantly. That's we get a monthly update for them. It was a bi-yearly, and now we've gotten it down to monthly. The Caltrans ODB, did I get it right? OBEO, Office of Business and Economic Opportunity, has really made a great effort at turning that around and getting a lot more into it, a lot more into the details. But we have an oversight role on that, as my office does.
Do they monitor also the regulations that might be state regulations that may, in a sense, affect those goals? Or is it possible to have state regulations that might conflict at all?
Well, the federal rules override the state rules on federal aid contracts. So I think part of that might be veterans. It might be, so there's the DBEs, there's the UDBs, there's the veteran owned businesses, all of those things. On federal aid contracts, you only see DBEs. You don't see any of the rest of that stuff. On state contracts, you'll have a small business goal, you'll have veteran goal, you'll have different other goals, but they don't conflict. And that's probably the primary thing, is when you see a federal aid contract, you're talking DBE. When there's no federal funds on that contract, it's a state contract, then you're talking the state rules. But they don't conflict on the federal aid contracts.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Any other questions? Yes, Fran.
Oh, sorry, freight. I forgot to say freight. I was going to
Yes,
say
Vince.
freight. I was going to say freight. I apologize, Fran.
You can say goods movement.
Oh, goods movement. That works too.
No, I just wanted you, since you're our federal representative here today, to speak briefly about the outreach that was done and the progress on MAP 21, the national freight policy.
We had Greg Nadeau, actually, we met up in the north after the Everyday Count Summit. SACOG was kind enough to host a meeting of people who are involved in the freight industry and the goods movement industry. I know Jim was there, and we appreciate you being there. So there's a lot of discussion that's going on, a lot of outreach that's going on. We're tying them with the Everyday Count Summits and just trying to get feedback, trying to get input on what a national freight policy should look like, what things should be involved in that. I spoke with our deputy administrator after the meeting, and we were very clear that one meeting in California is not going to be enough. So he was very clear on that. So we're working to figure out how we set up multiple meetings in California to try and get that feedback on a national freight network and what are the things that should go into it. I know we had handed out a sheet of information that had some data on it that was actually accurate data that didn't portray the impacts of freight in California like I think we all would like. So I'm working with Fran and Jim to try and get some information back to help us make sure we're portraying the impact of freight and goods movement on the infrastructure here in California.
Thank you. Any way we can assist with that?
And I
we're all
appreciate
happy
that.
to.
I do appreciate that. And I think that there was a lot of discussion that went around that sheet, and I think it was a good discussion because it's helping us understand what you think the impacts are and how we need to represent it.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you all.
Very good. Now we'll move on to local reports. So we've got Will, Sharon, and Andy. In that order, please.
Good morning, Chair Tavalone and Commissioners. My name is Adrienne Cardoso. I'm here on behalf of Will Ritter. He was unable to make it this morning for the RTPA report. The RTPA group met yesterday here in Riverside. We were happy to learn that 14 agencies who had delivered 100% of their federal obligation amount for last fiscal year were distributed a part of the $53 million in August redistribution that came back to the regions. Also, in light of the Everyday Counts initiative, Caltrans led a robust discussion on ways to streamline federal aid projects. Caltrans is looking at how to best streamline delivery of these projects and improve delivery for federal programs, such as the safety program, and asked regional agencies for their input. One of the specific recommendations that was made at that meeting or discussed at the meeting is using more federal funds on larger projects, limiting the number of projects that have to go through the process, allowing for quicker delivery of those projects. We also reviewed the current efforts of the Caltrans MAP 21 working groups related to the distribution of funds for federal fiscal year 14. We also heard some broad principles from legislative staff on potential state legislation for distribution of funds. The primary goals of the proposed legislation, as discussed with us, would be the efficient use of federal funds, aligning federal funding sources with statewide goals related to SB 375, and maintaining the existing funding split between the state and locals. At the meeting, the group was asked to submit questions and comments. There was a comment or a compliment in light of the proposal support of the bridge program. There were some questions which appeared to express concern related to maintaining the flexibility, particularly for RSTP funds. The regional agencies will follow up directly with legislative staff on their questions and concerns. That concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning, Chair and Commission. My name is Marcella Clem. I'm the Executive Director for the Humboldt County Association of Governments, here on behalf of Sharon Serginger, as well as the Rural County Task Force. The implementation of MAP 21 monopolized our last meeting on November 16th, and I do want to thank Rachel Falsetti for spending the afternoon with us and for contributing to this very important discussion. We have prepared written summaries of the funding programs, and they are available on our Rural County Task Force website. Rural County Task Force members continue to be actively involved with the MAP 21 working group and subcommittees. We appreciate the move towards consolidation of programs and the flexibility of funding. Our hope is that the final implementation will address the needs of the statewide system rather than focus on regional apportionments. We feel strongly that transportation funds should be distributed on statewide needs based on our regional transportation plans rather than driven by population formulas. The push for complete population-based allocations will lead to a state of have and have-nots, which is certainly not California's history. Rural County Task Force members met with key state Senate and Assembly transportation staff to discuss rural transportation needs. Other members attended the Focus on the Future conference, and we continue to support legislation to lower the sales tax threshold. And many of our members are also members of the Aspiring Counties group. We continue to be engaged in the statewide needs assessment meetings, and we support the effort to focus on the maintenance of the state and local system. Rural County Task Force members also participated in MTC's legislative strategy last week, and we will, at the next CTC meeting, have formal comments on that. I want to thank you all and your staff for all you do for the rural agencies in the state.
Any questions? Yes.
Just a comment on. We have a little bit of a changed circumstance after the election in the legislature, and I would really encourage the rural agencies and all those who are interested in lowering that tax threshold to get in there now and talk to your legislators. I think we have a chance to put that on the ballot. There's a lot of competing ideas. They want to lower the threshold for school parcel taxes, libraries, all worthy causes, but the transportation piece for a lot of our rural counties is really critical. And just offer my service as one commissioner here. If anything I can do to help, let me know. I think it's an important step that maybe we can take this year. And to me, that's one of the low-hanging pieces of fruit we can get in terms of answering a lot of the funding questions that we've identified in our needs assessment.
I thank you, and I appreciate that. And I'll forward that not only to the Rural Counties Task Force, but the Aspiring Counties group as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. We have the next speaker? I guess not. Okay, we'll move on. Yeah. Item number 12, Mr. Watts.
Commissioner Tavallone and commissioners and members in the audience, I appreciate the opportunity to give you a brief update. There's a handout that's been made available that is somewhat detailed. I'm not going to replicate what's in that material, but it's available for you to peruse. I'm here today on behalf of Transportation California, which, if you're not familiar with the organization, and some of you may or may not be, it's been in existence since the early 90s, and we've sponsored, led, or participated actively in every single transportation funding campaign, beginning with Prop 192, the Retrofit Bond Act of 1996. So we've, I think, helped contribute to at least the level of transportation funding we're at now, and we hope to see if we can build on that, and that's why I'm here today. I do want to give you one exciting piece of information. Our organization is 50 strong. We have a number of contractors and allied labor as our building block, and we've recently added Will Kempton, who will be our new executive director come the springtime. I feel personally like I've just gone full circle, because my last job at Caltrans, I was working for Will, and now he's going to be directing my activities. So I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I look forward to working with him, and I think you're going to be enjoying working with him as we move forward. Essentially, what we've decided to do is a three-prong approach that we're driving towards to generate revenues for transportation. One was a new idea that we were ready to introduce a year ago, but out of deference to Proposition 30 and all those efforts, we delayed that for until sometime this coming year. We've also adopted as a key foundational point the voter threshold, and we're happy to see that LA County representative has already introduced SB 4 to address that, and I think Commissioner Frommer is right on. One of the issues, although it's somewhat low-hanging fruit, will be the competitive nature for the other constituencies and other program areas. So that'll be something we'll have to work on together this year. And thirdly, Commissioner Arp and his organization, the Alliance for Jobs, has taken the lead, and we're part of the coalition he's developed to address cap and trade revenues in the future round of fuels distribution cap and trade auctions. So we've got a three-part program. The part I jumped over and mentioned that there was going to be a bill introduced last year is a new transportation system user fee that we're eager to see how that shakes out. Essentially, it would emulate the vehicle license fee approach. It would be a percent-based charge on the registration of vehicles, but it would not be a registration fee. It would be a percent fee. So we've done a lot of research in that area. We have a lot more research to do. We're collaborating with the Alliance for Jobs and other folks to ensure that mechanism is the best mechanism. Whether it is or not, we don't know yet, but it is what we put our chips behind now as we try to find new revenues for transportation. It's worth noting that if we were successful in putting together something along the lines that we were ready to introduce, it would raise about $3 billion annually and would have a built-in growth factor based on the value of the turnover in the fleet of vehicles as prices go up and vehicle sales start to climb out of, or further climb out of the hole that they had been in. So we are very high on it, but we're also collaborating with other partners, including, as I indicated, the Alliance, to make sure we put the best foot forward, and it may be that there's other programs that might be better, but we're very excited about this. So that's my overview. We have done some research on that particular item, and although it's easy to call it the car tax, I think when people refer to what we're talking about as the car tax reborn, they miss the point. In our assessment in voter surveys and focus groups, we find that voters believe that the car tax was going for transportation purposes. They're surprised it wasn't. And when you educate them and bring them along and tell them that you can protect it and dedicate it, we get over the 50% threshold pretty quickly. So we think it's a viable alternative. But as I said, there are other great ideas, and we're going to work with other partners to make sure that we put the one single best effort forward. So that's my report, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come here and let you know that we are active out there, even though we sometimes appear to be quiet.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, thank you. Mark, you have been toiling in these fields for so long and so successfully. I just first wanted to thank you. Second, congratulations on bringing Will Kempton on board. I think that just ups our game to try to find more revenue for needed improvements in California. I wanted to ask a couple of questions about where you ended on the vehicle license fee. I'm glad to hear that focus groups show that we might be able to educate folks to move them forward if that were actually used for transportation infrastructure improvements. My question isn't so much about educating the general public, which is important and hard enough, but the traditional recipients of those funds, local governments and special districts, who for 70 years funded very vital programs through that to stand down, if you will, that, if you bring that back, it's still not coming back to us. Even though it's probably never going to come back to them under the current scenario. Will they accept that? Have you been reaching out to those constituencies at all?
Yes, Commissioner. I have to admit, early on when this idea came up to use VLF-like mechanism, and I'll continue to say it that way because I don't want to get drawn into it, the VLF, but it is identical to the VLF. So and I was very trepidatious about that very issue. We worked with CSAC, and it didn't take much time for them to put it at the top of their agenda for the coming year for transportation funding. So they've come around. The league is still looking at it, but I think they understand that unless the legislature were to do it and a governor to sign a bill, there's no way that they are going to be able to convince the voters, if they had to go to a vote, to put it in for general fund purposes. The nexus is there in the minds, and I think we would be able to occupy that territory without a threat to other constituencies.
Well, in my day job, we have long supported the full renewal of that funding source. Right. So in my day job, we're with you, and I'm glad you brought it to the commission as well.
My closing comment would be I'm just hopeful that Will Kempton's got his competitiveness out of his system. I'm too old to play flag football. I just got to put it on the table right now, but I do look forward to working under his guidance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just make sure you don't play golf with him. That's the real danger.
I'm not old enough yet to start playing golf, so thank you.
Mark, I have room on my team, so if you need to get back into sports, I'll take you on. Thank you. Now we'll move on to item number 13, information calendar. Stephen, please.
Yes, Commissioners. The next 8 agenda items, 13 through 20, are information items deemed by staff not to raise any issues. The individual reports will not be presented unless specifically requested by a commissioner.
Any questions? And we'll move on to item number 21.
Yes, Commissioners. The next 50 agenda items, 21 through 70, are the consent calendar. I have the following changes that I need to inform you of. Items 27, 50, 52, 55, 57, 61, and 62 didn't quite make it into your book. They're yellow items in the packet that you received on the dais. Item 45, we have Director Deed 002261-01-02 is withdrawn. Item 47, the EA should be 3A7774, not 3A77744. And last but not least, item 66, the PP&O number should be 2449, not 2249.
Yes.
And with that, staff recommends that the commission approve the consent calendar.
Chair,
yes.
I have a conflict of interest in item number 31. My company owns property that abuts this section of SR 99 expansion, so I'd like to recuse myself on item 31.
Then we would withdraw item 31 from the consent calendar, do the consent calendar while the commissioner is present, and then have the commissioner leave the room for item, which item was that, Commissioner?
31.
31.
Mr. Chair, I had one very brief question of staff on item 21, if I could, or I could take it offline as well, but I did have one question.
Okay, you want to take that, Stephen, 21?
What is the question?
Well, it's a TCRP project. It says in the write-up to relieve congestion. I couldn't tell in the write-up if we had a sense of the current levels of service and how that this project is going to positively impact those levels of service.
Well, we'd probably have to take that one offline and get back to you.
That would be fine. Thank you, Stephen.
Okay.
With that, again, staff recommends that the commission approve the consent calendar minus item 31.
Any questions? I have a motion. Motion, please.
Move it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now we'll go to 31. Stephen, is that correct?
Yes. Now that Commissioner Simi has left the room, staff recommends that the commission approve item 31.
All those in favor? Aye. We can bring Commissioner Simi in.
Do we have to let him back in?
Can we take a vote on that?
Now we move on to item number 71, please. Stephen?
Yes, Commissioners. Item 71 is the quarterly toll bridge seismic retrofit update. What I have to report to you that the contractor has completed the load transfer process of lifting the roadway decks of the of the SAS from the temporary supports onto the main cable. This phase of work was one of the last major structural challenges before the new bridge is open to traffic. The remaining activities prior to opening to the new bridge to traffic include wrapping of the cable, painting of the cable, paving and striping operations, and installation and testing of mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems. Also, we need to still do the Yerba Buena Island and Oakland connections to the bridge, and we're on schedule for opening the bridge on Labor Day 2013. And I'd like to also tell you that the Antioch Bridge has finished its seismic retrofit, and that was completed in July of 2012. With that, if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer. And also, you will notice in your package is the actual report, and it has a beautiful picture of the Blue Angels flying by the tower of the SAS.
Any questions for Stephen on that? Thank you, Stephen. We'll move on to item number 72.
Yes, Commissioners. Item 72 is the monthly or every meeting report on the TCIF program. The chairs of the coalitions report on the projects and how they're proceeding. The projects that have not been allocated yet, we will have Kenneth Cow, Patricia Chan, and Jose Nuncio address their individual projects in their coalition areas.
Thank you, Stephen. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Kenneth Cow with the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, today representing the Northern California Trade Corridors Coalition. The coalition has 6 unallocated projects as of this meeting, 5 of which we believe will be making the deadline of allocation by June. We do have one project that I would like to highlight, which has been upgraded from a medium risk to a high risk. That is the Tehachapi Trade Corridor Rail Improvement Project. This project would double track the Tehachapi Rail Corridor that connects the Central Valley with points eastward. The Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad and Caltrans have discovered an endangered species in the area which need further study in the environmental document, and that may need to be recirculated. With this change, Caltrans and BNSF are working very closely to identify how this will impact the schedule, and we expect to have more information at next month's meeting, where we will report and hopefully have an amendment, a request, or deallocation for you to consider. With that, I'd like to answer any other questions that you may have about our projects.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Executive Director Reinhardt. I'm Patricia Chen with LA Metro, and I'm speaking on behalf of the 5-county Southern California Consensus Group. Out of 47 projects currently funded in the Consensus Group area, 23 are now allocated. The remaining 24 projects are in the TCIF status update in Book Item 72. Of these projects, 17 are low risk. In fact, Phase 1 of project number 87, the Cargo Transportation Improvement Emission Reduction Program, wish I had $1 for every word in that title, is agendized for allocation today under Book Item 108. One of our projects is a medium-low risk, 5 projects are medium-high risk, and 1 project is high risk. The medium-low risk project is TCIF number 65, Vineyard Avenue Grain Separation in the City of Ontario. Environmental is complete. PS&E is to be completed in a few weeks, I'm thinking this month. and right-of-way in January 2013. The resolution is pending, and a baseline agreement amendment will be requested in January. The allocation vote is targeted for March 2013. Of the 5 projects listed in the medium high-risk category, the first is number 35, State College Boulevard grade separation. There are design and right-of-way delays. However, it is anticipated that the right-of-way phase will be completed by March 2013 and construction to start in October. An allocation request is planned for February. TCIF number 40, Lakeview Avenue Overcrossing in Orange County, is on schedule, and a baseline agreement amendment will be requested concurrently with the allocation request in January. Number 85, Avenue 52, grade separation in the city of Coachella. Environmental and right-of-way are complete. A baseline agreement amendment is requested at this meeting under book item number 96, and an allocation request is planned for March 2013. Number 86, Alameda Corridor West Terminus Intermodal Rail Yard West Basin Rail Yard Extension. Project is, it's one of the 2 new additions to our project list, and design is now at 40%. And the same is true for number 87, the one with the long name, but phase 2. Finally, we have 1 project listed in the high-risk category, and that is TCIF number 50, grade separation at Clay Street in Riverside County. The project is currently in the right-of-way phase, and property acquisition is underway. Federal authorization for utility relocation is expected this month, and coordination with utility companies is ongoing. Design is at 95%. And a baseline amendment was submitted to Caltrans in October and is agendized for this month's meeting under number 93. Thank you, and thanks for staying with me.
Commissioners, good morning. Jose Nuncio with San Diego Association of Governments on behalf of the San Diego Border Region. We have 3 remaining projects in the TCIF program to be allocated. 2 of those are scheduled to come to you at the May meeting. Project number 70, the 10th Avenue Marine Terminal project, has its risk level at medium-high due to its June allocation date, but we are working to bring that back over to the May meeting so we can allocate all of the projects at the May meeting and be done with the project, or with the program, actually. Any questions for me?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And Commissioners, we have one more coalition, which is called the Other Corridor, but we'll be dealing with that one under agenda item 80. With that, that finishes this agenda item, and the next one would be item 73, which covers all of the Proposition 1B quarterly reports. Basically, you've already heard on the TCIF under the prior item, and Rachel Filsetti will address the rest of the programs.
Good morning, this is Rachel Falsetti for Caltrans, and I'm going to be speaking the update on the quarterly reports for Proposition 1B. I'm going to go in reverse order of what is listed. The first was the Trade Corridor Improvement Fund, and you already heard about that. The department is working with the coalitions and CTC staff to assure that those projects are delivered by the December 2013 date and awarded by that date. As far as the intercity rail projects are concerned, there were $400 million in that account. The department or the commission has allocated over 161 of those funds to 11 projects. Of note, the procurement of the new rail cars was awarded on November 6th of 2012. For the HRCSA projects, there was $250 million. For the 2012 HRCSA 1B, which was announced in September, these projects were programmed due to savings from previous fundings, and the baselines are coming forward for approval as an update. For the $1 billion for SLPP, the final cycle for that, which was cycle 5, the applications were due in November. We are working with agencies, as is the CTC staff, to make sure that those are all allocated by the June 2013 CTC meeting. Going on to the traffic light synchronization program, there was $250 million in that particular program. Of the 84 originally adopted, the commission has allocated $211 million for 73 projects. And for bridge seismic, we had $125 million programmed total. We have allocated, there are 424 projects in the program currently. 169 bridges have actually are under construction, and 131 have been completed. 124 are still to allocate. You've allocated 51.9 million of the 125 million so far. For State Route 99, of the original 13 projects that were in the program, all of those contracts have been awarded. Well, I will say one will be awarded once there's a vote today. So all of them will be awarded by the December 2013. 4 more have been awarded that were added, and 1 potentially will be awarded by December, or not. If it's not awarded by the end of December, we will be going back out. We are discussing the savings. We have a savings plan, and we have been in discussions with commission staff and others, and we will be coming and updating that again in March. Then the last one I wanted to talk about was the $4.5 billion CMIA. As of this meeting, we will have completed all that and have 88 projects for those $4.5 billion. So all of those will be awarded by the December 2012 date, which is a huge accomplishment for everyone that was involved in that. So I'm very grateful for everyone that was involved in all of that, and happy that that was complete and done. So that's a big accomplishment. And that concludes my report.
Any questions? Thank you, Rachel. Stephen?
The next agenda item would be 74.
Mitch? Oh, there he is.
Stephen Keck from the department will be presenting on items 74 and 75.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Stephen Keck with Caltrans Budgets. In the interest of efficiency, I've gone ahead and combined elements of my semi-regular reporting to the Commission with the with elements from the quarterly report. So we'll have one presentation with both elements, and I'll be happy to answer questions on either one as we go through. Does my slide show up? Through October, the Commission has allocated about $1.5 billion of this year's allocation capacity of $5.2 billion. That leaves about $3.6 billion remaining to be allocated. A significant portion of that is from the bond funds, but for probably the first time since Proposition 1B came out, almost half of the remaining capacity is our regular STIP and SHOP funds. So I think that's sort of an indication that we're reaching the end of our Proposition 1B program. And it's also an indication that we have kind of a long way to go through the rest of this fiscal year in terms of allocating the rest of our SHOP and STIP projects. And that's not terribly unusual because a lot of projects are delivered towards the end of a fiscal year, so we will see a lot of those STIP and SHOP projects come in towards the end. In terms of what's remaining on the STIP side, I had this question yesterday at the RTPA meeting, and I did not have an answer, so I'll go ahead and do it now for those in the audience. Of the total capacity for the STIP, we have $341 million remaining. 168 of that is state funds. The remaining 173 is federal funds. And of the state side, about half of that is PTA funds. The second item I wanted to report on was the status of the state highway account loan. Some of you may remember that in the end of the 2010-11 fiscal year, the department was put in a situation where we had to take a loan from the general fund of $404 million. That situation was really a result of actions taken to alleviate general fund issues and was not caused by regular course of business in the transportation side. We've been conserving our state cash for a while now in preparation for this loan repayment. We made a repayment of half the amount in, I think, July, and the second half of that repayment will be due in August. in April of 2013, and we do not anticipate any issues with making that second loan repayment. One of the reasons we don't foresee an issue in making that second repayment is that we have finally reached resolution between the Department of Finance and the State Controller's Office on the issue that we've had with the state highway account backfill of weight fees. You may remember we reported in last fiscal year that the application of the weight fee swap with the excise taxes was misallocated by the Controller's Office. The total for 11-12 was about $110 million that was inadvertently transferred to other entities other than the state highway account. During the last two HUDA cycles in October and November, the Controller has made adjusting entries to return that $110 million to the state highway account. As of the time that this presentation was completed, we had only received one of those two payments, and we still had due about $56 million, and that has been repaid and confirmed in just the last 2 business days. So we are finally able to resolve that issue. There is still an amount owed for 12-13, and we estimate that amount to be about $40 million. And we anticipate the Controller will make adjusting entries to fix that in the next cycle, probably in December or January HUDA transfers. So that is pretty good news for the state highway account. It will boost our cash balance, but only until April, when we have to repay the second half of the loan to the general fund. We've been conserving state cash for quite some time. We've had some very rough years, and I think I said maybe even at the last meeting that I do see some light at the end of the tunnel. This loan repayment completes, pays off our debt to the general fund, so from here on out we're on our own, so to speak. Hopefully the general fund will see brighter days ahead as well, and we will see fewer general fund solutions that impact transportation. And we may start to see an opening up of the state highway account in future years. So I'm optimistic for a change. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was upcoming events, because we are beginning to do some very important things in the transportation world. Starting in January, at the commission meeting on the 8th, we will begin the 2014 STIP fund estimate cycle. The fund estimate is a very important document that estimates revenues anticipated to be available for transportation for 5 years out. It's the basis of the size of both the STIP and the SHOP. We will do an overview presentation in January to get commissioners familiar with the process again, and we do it every 2 years. And the process will last all the way through August of 2013, when the commission is scheduled to adopt the fund estimate as we go through. You'll probably hear from me on the fund estimate at every meeting. We will talk about assumptions. We'll have the commission discuss and adopt significant assumptions. We'll present a draft, usually right around the time the budget is developed and passed, and a final is statutorily due on August 15th. But I'll be giving a lot more detail on that at the next meeting. Right after the next commission meeting is the release of the January 10th governor's budget, and it would be the budget for the 2013-14 fiscal year. So at the meeting next time, I will not be able to present anything that's in the governor's budget unless the budget is released early. So what we will do is release a letter instead that will give a brief overview of the governor's proposals related to transportation, and we'll get that out to commissioners as soon as we can after the release of the budget. And just to put it out there, in the March 27th of 2013, the federal continuing resolution that we're currently operating under is will set to expire. Not uncommon. We've seen a lot of these continuing resolutions in the past. Very, very rare that a compromise of some sort isn't reached before it expires. So we expect that to be resolved, but it's out there, and I just wanted the Commission to be aware of that date. That ends my presentation. I'll be happy to entertain any questions.
Any questions? Thank you. Item number 75.
That covered, Stephen's presentation covered items 74 and
Item number
75.
76, I'm sorry.
76 is the status of the reallocation of unobligated earmarks. This is a follow-up to a commission action in September. Going back in August, FHWA authorized the reallocation for unobligated earmarked funds. In September, the commission approved a list of projects which included the earmarked projects that were going to be able to go forward and meet the deadline, and some replacement projects. And Denix Ambia of Caltrans has an update on the status.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. My name is Denix Ambia, the Division Chief for Local Assistance in Caltrans. This report is to give you an update on the status of the 2004-2006 Appropriation Act federal earmark projects. As I reported at the September meeting on August 16th, 2012, the Federal Highway Administration issued a memorandum entitled Reallocation of Unobligated Balances of Fiscal Year 2004 through 2006 DOT Appropriations Acts. This memorandum authorized states to reallocate unobligated funding from projects designated in the Fiscal Year 2004 through 2006 Appropriations Act to other eligible projects. This memorandum also stated that the states will lose the funds that are not obligated by December 31st, 2012. In California, there were 71 projects with an unobligated amount of about $43 million at that time that were subject to this new flexibility to reallocate. Please note that these are the projects where the project sponsors applied directly to the Congress for funding. Congress selected these projects for funding with no input from the state or the regions. Prior to receiving this memorandum, there was no deadline to obligate these funds. Furthermore, the earmark only partially funds many of these projects. The project sponsors needed to seek and obtain additional funding before these funds can be obligated. These factors contributed to the delay in getting these funds obligated. In response to the notification by FHWA, the department first surveyed all the original earmark sponsors and asked if they could submit the request for obligation by November 1st, 2012. 38 of the 71 original project sponsors said they will be able to obligate the funds on the original earmark projects within this time frame for about $21.9 million. So these 38 projects are listed in attachment 1 of this report. The remaining 33 project sponsors said they will not be able to obligate the remaining $21.1 million by the deadline. So the department shared the results of the survey with the respective RTPAs in which the uncommitted earmark funds remain, and asked the RTPAs as to work with their respective agencies and propose alternate projects for these funds. All the 11 regions in which the funds were available for reallocation responded saying they could obligate these funds within the time frame, and they submitted 22 alternate projects, and these 22 projects are listed in the attachment 2. All these funds need to be obligated by December 31st, 2012 in order for California to compete for additional funding left unused by other states. I am glad to report that the department has already sent the request for obligation to Federal Highways on all the 22 projects in attachment 2. However, the department did not receive a complete request for obligation from the project sponsors on 7 of the 38 projects in attachment 1. The department will obligate funds from these 7 projects, which is about $2.6 million on these I-5 South projects in District 7. This concludes my report, and I can answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 77, Laura?
Yes, Commissioners, this item is an action item to amend the 2012-13 State Local Partnership Competitive Program. The list of recommended project is attached to this item. We're requesting to add 2 projects to be funded with identified program savings. As you recall, we decided at the last meeting, the Commission voted to allow funding additional projects as savings become available. We're asking to add these 2 projects, a project in Fresno and a project in Highland. They were the top 2 of the remaining eligible projects below the line. Any projects, of course, that are not yet programmed will remain eligible. We have, in addition, received some late applications. We gave people until November 30th to apply so that we can add projects to the list in case more savings become available. We've received 16 applications. We'll be reviewing those and bringing those forward for your information, hopefully in January. Staff recommends your approval of this amendment.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item number 78.
Yes, item 78, Commissioners, is also an action item to amend the State Local Partnership Formula Program and to add some new projects. We have a replacement in Orange County, and we're adding some new projects in San Mateo and Riverside counties. The staff recommends your approval of this item.
Questions? I have a motion.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Item number 79, please.
Item 79, Commissioners, is an action item. This item was distributed to you in yellow, so it's in your package in a yellow. This item is the approval of 4 baseline agreements in the 2012 HRCSA program. This is a program you adopted in September. The 4 projects that have submitted a baseline agreement are Lathrop Road, Grade Separation Project in the city of Lathrop, Grant Line Road, Great Separation in the city of Elk Grove, Marina Bay Parkway in the city of Richmond, Navy Drive BNSF Underpass in the Port of Stockton. Staff recommends the approval of these baselines.
Questions? Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item number 80, Stephen?
Yes, Commissioners. As mentioned to you at your October meeting, the Port of Sacramento is not able to deliver its Sacramento River Deepwater Channel project. And as they mentioned at the October meeting, they will be bringing you an amendment to the program to amend in a bridge project around the port. And this item is the actual amendment of the bridge project into the program. And with this action, the $300,000 overage in the other corridors over programming will also be eliminated. So staff recommends that the Commission approve item 80.
Question?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
I think it would be helpful on the informational sheets on these that if it says, for instance, it says the project has challenges which prohibit delivery within the constraints. I think we need a little more information on what the challenges are. I think in this case there was environmental permitting that held the project up, but there's a lot of it's another example of state permitting agencies getting in the way of each other and really hindering it when we have the money. And I think that we need to call this stuff out a little bit more. Instead of just saying they have challenges, I think we need to say we have challenges because X, Y, and Z.
I think at the October meeting, when the port was here, they identified that it was basically the Corps of Engineers could not facilitate what they needed to facilitate because it's actually the Corps that would be doing the dredging. So it's more of a challenge with the federal processes than it is with the state processes.
Well, we have a lot of federal stuff. I can think of a number of projects that we wondered if they were going to get through because of federal Corps of Engineers or others on the federal side. I think we just need I think it's I do recall that that was brought up in an oral testimony, but I don't think it hurts to have a little bit more clarified explanation in here so that we have it in the record.
We will definitely take that and do as you requested.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bimmer?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Just a general comment. So I understand situations change and money can't be expended for a project like this one, but it never sees, there's always another project. So the money immediately, instead of saying we don't need the money because it isn't a good project, it's spent elsewhere. And I can't comment on the quality of this, but I do have a sensitivity to just spending the money because it is available, and I just want to make sure that somebody does a qualitative analysis as opposed to just having the money go back into a pot where maybe it's analyzed in the universe of projects to make sure we're getting the maximum transportation benefit for each dollar.
Yes, Commissioners, that was done. We examined what the benefits were of the original project, and then we examined what is the benefits of the substitute projects. Actually, the benefits of the substitute project are greater than the benefits of the original project.
Thank you. Any other questions? Do I have a motion? Move it. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Item number 81, Stephen?
Yes, Commissioners, we'll do 81, 82, 83, and 84 together. These deal with the DeVore interchange project. What's happening is we're taking CMA savings that have been accrued, and we are programming them onto the DeVore interchange project to the amount of up to $137 million. And after that, shop monies will be freed up from the DeVore project and will be going to to other shop eligible projects that are in the general vicinity of the areas that generated the CMA savings. This is basically a similar situation as we had at the October meeting where we're programming money onto the Joel Desmond Bridge. So staff recommends that the Commission approve the 4 agenda items.
Any questions? Move it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 85, who's there for Susan?
Commissioners, my name is Laura Pennybaker, and I'll be presenting agenda items 85 and 86. These are action items and will be presented together. These items are final environmental impact reports for 2 projects, the La Plata Avenue Gap Closure and Camino del Rio Extension Project in Orange County, and the Foothill Parkway Westerly Extension Project in Riverside County. The projects include widening and/or extending existing arterial roadways. The environmental review process identified significant and unavoidable impacts for both projects that could not be reduced to less than significant levels with mitigation. For the La Plata Avenue project, impacts relate to traffic, air quality, and noise. For the Foothill Parkway project, impacts relate to aesthetics, air quality, noise, cultural resources, and geologic and seismic hazards. Orange County and the City of Corona adopted statements of overriding considerations, finding that the benefit of these projects outweigh the impacts. Staff recommends that the Commission accept the EIR's findings and overriding considerations and approve the projects for future consideration of funding.
Any questions? Have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 87, Mitch.
Commissioners, item 87 is a STIP amendment for notice. This is related in Modoc County, and it is a repayment related. It's a net zero change related to the repayment of stimulus funds that were loaned from Plumas to Modoc, and then Modoc is repaying with a STIP programming action. Staff has no concerns with this amendment and will be placing it on the consent calendar at the next Commission meeting.
Thank you. Any questions? Item number 88, please.
Item 88 is another STIP amendment for notice in Modoc County. In this amendment, Modoc is proposing to delete from programming 2 projects on state highway system. One is the Alturas Route widening project on 299, and the other is also related to 299, 139, which is a highway advisory radio project. Staff has had some discussions with Modoc County, and we'll, before the next commission meeting, have further discussions with the county and with the department to better understand what they're proposing here. Our concern is really the safety implications and of deleting these two projects. So we're not sure what we'll be recommending, but we will continue discussions to bring it forward with a recommendation next month.
Thank you. Any questions? Item number 89.
Yes, Commissioners, we're going to do item 89 and 104, its fellow traveler together. These deal with the final CMA savings settlement with LA Metro. What we're doing is we're taking money that originally went from the 405 freeway onto the I-5 North, and we're taking the money now back from the I-5 North to the 405 freeway. Staff recommends that the Commission approve item 89 and 104.
Any questions?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item
Called the silo shuffle.
It could be. Item number 90, Stephen, you're on.
Yes, Commissioners, we'll do items 90 through 97 together, with a note that item 91 is pulled. All the remaining 7 items deal with TCIF amendments that fix some of the challenges that were reported to you under item 72. Staff recommends that that all the items be approved.
Any questions? I have a motion. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Item number 108.
98.
I'm sorry.
Item number 98 is a HRCSA baseline amendment. The project sponsor is seeking an amendment to their baseline to update the project funding plan and the schedule. This is for the Nogales Street Grade Separation Project in the City of Industry. Staff recommends your approval.
Move it. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item number 100? 99? That's pulled.
Mine was pulled.
Yeah. Item number 100.
Commissioners, item 100 is allocation of $2.383 million for 3 shop minor projects, one of which is here in Riverside County on Route 10 at the Wiley Wells Safety Roadside Rest Area. Staff recommends approval of these allocations.
Any questions? Move it. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Item number 101.
Item number 101 is allocation of $65.056 million for 11 shop projects, the largest of which is $34 million for a project on Route 10 in Los Angeles County. Staff recommends approval of these allocations.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Item 102.
Item 102 is a request for STIP allocation, $4.3 million for a project on Route 46 in San Luis Obispo County. Staff recommends approval of this allocation.
Question? Have a motion?
Move the recommendation.
I have a second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Item number 103, please.
Item 103 is a request for STIP allocations, $1.341 million for 11 locally administered STIP projects, including 7 T projects and 2 planning, programming, and monitoring projects. Staff recommends approval of these allocations.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Item 105.
Yes, Commissioners. Item 105 is a allocation out of the Route 99 reserve of $1.4 million. Now that we have a reserve, we can actually start making allocations. Staff recommends that the Commission approve the allocation.
Question?
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Item number 106, please.
That 106, Commissioners, has been pulled. So next item is going to be 107, which is a local bridge seismic retrofit program annual allocation. Staff recommends that the commission approve the allocation of $4 million.
Question? Have a motion? Move it.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Item 108.
Yes, Commissioner, this is an allocation of $12.7 million to project number 87 and the TCIF program. Staff recommends that you approve the allocation.
Question?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item 10, what have I got? 109 checked already for.
Yes, Commissioners, items 109 and 110 are requests for allocation of Prop 1B state and local partnership funds. We have 9 projects, locally administered projects on the highway or on the roads, and 1 transit project. And staff would recommend your approval of these 2 items.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
110.
111, we did 109 and 110.
111 is pulled.
111 is pulled. Item 112.
112.
This is a request for allocation for a multi-funded project with both STIP and state and local partnership funds, and staff recommends your approval of that item.
Questions? Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Item number 113.
Yes, Commissioners, item 113, this is a request to allocate funds, STIP funds for 3 transit projects. This does include that Paris Valley project that was discussed earlier. Staff recommends your approval of these allocations.
Move approval.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item number...
Mr. Chairman?
Sorry.
Yeah, I would just let our commissioner colleagues know one of those 3 is that Warm Springs extension of the BART system into Silicon Valley, and that is still running $77 million under budget and 18 months ahead of schedule. So again, continues to be a great investment that we made as a commission.
Great. That sounds good. Item number 115.
Starting with 114.
Okay, 114.
These items 114 through 117 are requests for extension. These are all requests for extension of contract award deadlines. I want to note that there are a couple of items on the change list. On item 114, 2 projects have been removed. They were able to award. And on item 115, a project was removed. It was able to award. Staff recommendations were sent out with the yellows. And we're not recommending any changes from the department's recommendations, so we would recommend approval of all of these items.
Question? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Item 115.
I think we
That was all 4.
We got,
All 4.
Okay, I'm sorry. Any public comments? We'll certainly let you speak here this morning if you'd like. Not seeing any. Thank you. And this, I'm
Chair, I just had a comment. I wanted to thank Caltrans staff, Norma Ortega and Rachel Falsetti for work, and commission staff for working with the 8 COGs to try to take a look at the amount of money that we need for reserves on SR 99. The last commission hearing we allocated $69 million, and Caltrans has agreed to aggressively look at the amount needed so that we identify the risk and allocate the correct amount, but at the same time make sure money is available for the projects that are in line. We currently have 2 projects that will be ready to list. One is the AME and the other one is the Pellendale interchange. That they're both ready to go, and as soon as the reserves shrink, one of those projects can get out of the gate, which I would support in light of the fact that we see construction costs beginning to inch their way up. I believe with the savings that we realized today, we have the $69 million in reserves has increased to about $105 million, plus or minus, which almost puts us there for one of those projects to get out of the gate. And I'm encouraged that Caltrans is working closely with the 8 COGs to analyze the dollar amount for reserves that we need to protect the existing 13 projects, but yet make sure we have enough funds available to get one of these projects out, hopefully by March.
And We're
Thank
going to
you.
make every effort to try and bring that information back. We may not be in a position in March, as I mentioned before, but certainly we understand how critical it is. There are a number of high-value projects that are going to construction, so we want to make sure that there is sufficient funds to carry those projects to completion. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. And I'd like to thank Riverside one more time for these, letting us use these great chambers. We have a lot more room up here than we normally get, and it's really an honor and a pleasure to be able to sit here in this great chamber that you all have. And thank you again for everything that you have done for the commission this trip, as you do in all our trips. And thank you, and be safe.